Welcome to NGN, everybody. It's March 1st, 2021, and here's my host, Jen Uchin.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Surviving the pandemic, trying to, I guess, do the best that we can.
Definitely.
Figure out why the cameraman is kind of screwing up my shot here. Let's see, dudes. Okay, here we go.
Beautiful. Looking good.
There we go. All right. Anyway, well lit. We got our new color for our little background where NGN names are, and it's exciting. So there's a lot of things going on. Thank God people are starting to get vaccinated, and we have somewhat of a sponsor because I've been working with this company now as a side thing. It's sort of like a COVID pivot. But I wanted to basically say hello to everybody out there, and I just wanted to share what I've been doing. And then we're going to get into the news. Cool. But with the current changes in the world, obviously with the pandemic and everything, there's a lot of people out there that need extra money to help themselves, to help their families, all that stuff. And I found this opportunity to learn about how to become a financial coach, basically, to teach people how to become more fiscally responsible. So it's all about financial education and providing people with a financial game plan. So there's like sort of this, Primerica Financial Services Investments helps families earn more income, become properly protected, and help them work towards financial independence. Now, I'm excited to extend this opportunity to tell all of you out there, especially if you have like only a month left of like money to live on. So we're coming up with several webinars to explain this great opportunity in more detail. So in the meantime, you can reach out to me, and my email is arifox@gameacon.com, GAMEACON.com, or just call me at 201-450-1718. If you want more information, I'd love to connect you with that. So, well, thank you very much to our first and exciting new sponsor, Primerica. So, yay, Primerica. Anyway, so we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna go into. We're live now on YouTube. If anybody wants to, if anyone has any comments. And this is new gaming news. And Jen, what's new in the world?
All right, so first thing I wanted to talk about was Activision Blizzard. They just conducted a research. They didn't release the whole research, but what they said was that esports fans are more receptive to advertising. So pretty much they collaborated with a market research consultant, Alter Agents, and they were saying that ages 16 to 40 years old, which is kind of a big gap, but it's ages 16 to 40, they are more receptive to advertising than any sports fans. So some of the key findings from the study are that esports is better at keeping viewer attention during sponsorship ads, resulting in higher performance on critical brand metrics. Esports viewers are more accepting of advertisements than traditional sports fans, showing a higher immersion score, defined as a attention plus emotional response. And their brand favorability and brand perception are higher for esports fans than compared to traditional sports. But they're pretty much not sure if they can target their demographic better because they like esports, and that means that they definitely like technology and gaming, whereas if you are a fan of regular sports, the only thing that advertisers know about you is that you like sports. So they're wondering if that's why the esports fans are engaging more in the advertisements of like during esports competitions and things like that, because it is more catered to their interests, because it's easier to get a general feel of what they like. So they weren't 100% sure.
Yeah, it's interesting that this article came out about right now, and you have to wonder. Sometimes you really just have to wonder, like why would Blizzard put that article out there? A lot of the things
people advertise on their platform.
Right. So the bottom line is we all know that in esports there's a lot of yelling and screaming at the tops of hills. I'm the greatest. This is the best thing. Esports is so wonderful, and video gaming has definitely made more money than any other industries during the pandemic that has started. And that's not a lie. That's actually true. But really, I mean, I don't know a lot of younger people that like to watch commercials, to be honest. Let's just totally be honest. I mean, we've talked about 100 Thieves. We've talked about how they like integrate product into their stream, and maybe that's something that resonates, and maybe that was part of this study as well. But understanding that they just like you're going to stop all of the entertainment value of some gamer, so that you can pause for a commercial.
Yeah,
and that's actually more impactful than like. And they're saying that's more impactful for younger people.
Well, they're saying that they respond better to the advertisement, and they said that they think it's because it's easier to like understand what they like as viewers, as opposed to sports fans who just have sports in common.
I guess you're right. I mean, I guess in that way, I guess you could say that. Well, what I can say is that when you do show that you're part of the community, when you are giving to the community. And so I'm sort of counteracting my other argument that the gamers will resonate with that brand.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a way to capture that. But, to a point, though, when you talk about like 100 Thieves and the way that they're doing things, at some point, a gamer's going to be like, okay, this is just too commercially.
Yeah, like product placement and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're just pushing too much product on me, and I've had enough, This is too commercial.
But I'm wondering if, like, because they have more brand loyalty and things like that, when it is integrated into content of things that they are already enjoying, they're responding to it more because they might have more of, like, a brand loyalty. Because of, like, with sports, you have sports equipment, right? Footballs, baseball, bats, whatever. But with esports, if you're into esports, you're probably into gaming, so you're probably into a bunch of headsets, mouse, keyboard, computers, everything like that. All the peripherals, all the extra stuff. Well, I feel like you're just more of a consumer rather than just like buying something with your favorite sports team. You're more so likely to use like things that your sports team is using.
Right. Well, here's something interesting. Hewlett Packard bought HyperX.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Hewlett Packard is a old, I think when I think of Hewlett Packard, I think of some stuffy guy with a mustache and a suit.
I think of HP. I think of like a sleek laptop.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's been around a long time.
I worked at like a Microsoft store, so they had like nice computers.
HP's been around a long time.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're as old as like Xerox.
Yeah, I wonder if that's them trying to get like a little bit younger.
Oh, for sure, they need a younger demographic to sort of make them, more relevant.
I'm a huge HyperX fan. I think their stuff's really nice.
Yeah, it is nice, but what I've been told by companies, we won't mention, well, I could just say Razer. People at Razer, they think that the HyperX stuff is garbage.
Why wouldn't they? They're competitors.
Exactly.
I mean, I am wearing a Razer headset, to be fair.
Yeah, there you go. So we just gave a plug to Razer for no money at all. But no, I don't know. I think that overall, I think that there's going to be as I said, the pandemic has just made a lot of things very difficult. And I actually am going to get to two articles at the end of this podcast about how difficult it's been in a lot of, not just in the esports world, but also in the gambling in the casino world as well.
Well, if you want, I'll talk about this next article, and then you can bring up what you wanted to talk about, because I wanted to talk about like non-fungible tokens, and it was just kind of like fluff. I just wanted to get your opinion, and it's kind of like hot right now in the gaming industry, so I want to talk about that later.
The Dean beat, how non-fungible tokens will change games.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get to that later.
That's a hot topic, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And we will talk about that. But I think if you want to move on, like it's probably better to talk about this rivalry race of 20 million for sports and esports.
Yeah, I meant you could bring your articles after I talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they raised 20 million, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I just wanted to give a little backstory on what they're doing and how they're like handling it. So it says Rivalry's average customer is 25 years old. The company's going after esports and sports fans who are under 30. And at the moment, Rivalry has an offshore gambling license with the Isle of Man, which allows it to facilitate gambling in places where there's no domestic licensing in place. So right now, that means it doesn't operate in the US, but it's working on getting licenses to do so. They plan to go public later this year, and they started focusing on esports betting as an increasing percentage of its businesses in traditional sports, including an upcoming suite of original casino intellectual property. So they're going to be adding some sort of like casino branding, I guess, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Right.
I see you have the graph up there saying that they're like the leading sports and esports betting app right now. I don't know how true that is. You would know more than me.
Yeah. I think in Europe I think they've made deals with Barstool Sports, which just popped up their value. I mean, listen, what you're seeing more and more is that these esport platforms that are really starting off as esport betting apps are having trouble in esports, and I mean, it's even mentioned here that the CEO of Rivalry, Sauls, mentions Steven Sauls. He talks about how it's very difficult to make money in esports. It's definitely not that what people think it is. But to be honest with you, it's sort of like, as we've said. I mean, we can always use the excuse that it's in its infancy, but it's almost not in its infancy anymore. Now we're talking about it's grown to a point where now it's almost like it should be turning some profit someplace. And I think that there's still a lot of snake oil salesmen out there that are pushing esports, and
Well, I think even if they're not doing it on purpose, I think a lot of people are just jumping on the esports hype and then just like kind of drowning.
Right. Yeah, they are. They're definitely drowning. But from what I'm seeing from a different perspective, is that these esport betting apps like EEG, the esports, the Entertainment Esports Group, or GMBL is their stock trade, and they started out as an esports betting app. But they've adopted other things, and they're also adopting sports betting. This company, Rivalry, adopted sports betting. And it's almost very interesting because there's a lot of we've spoken about the skill-based slot machine companies as well that started also as video gaming terminals. And in order for them to not die, they had to sort of switch their product to become more slot oriented so that the casinos would, it was almost as if everything was moving too fast, and now they have to back up and say, okay, well, the people don't want esports betting, or the industries, the consumers are too young, so we have to go to sports betting. We have to add that. And that, in a lot of ways, is sort of like a pivot that they've been doing. This guy, Steve Sauls from Rivalry, had to do that in order for them to start making some money.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if they haven't given up on the esports business plan, but they had to add something else to bring in revenue, because the esports side of it wasn't. So that's why they're going over to the sports betting and sports wagering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for a lot of reasons, it's really a sign of the times. It's a sign that esports is not really what people would hope it would have been by now, although the numbers are still there, and no one can argue with those numbers. It's not the conversion rate. It's not the return on the investment that people are getting. Now, that does not mean that there's going to be more businesses and companies that come out that are going to be able to turn that corner, that are going to be able to build that revenue. It's just going to take a company that is from the get-go is not only authentic, considering that's the word we always use in the industry, not only authentic, but real, but has a good work ethic that isn't just throwing money out of these investors as soon as the investors give them the money. They're not just tossing it at every possible thing and wasting it. That's not the way. Every little penny, every little piece has to be accounted for. And I think that's one of the things that I think, there's it was a gold rush. Esports is a gold rush. What happens to people what happens when people discover gold? They get gold fever. and gold fever makes people mad, crazy, and they do dumb things, and just there's been a lot of dumb decisions in a lot of dumb companies, across the esports spectrum, which has created a lot of bad reputation for investors to invest in it, and they look away. They walked away. But there are some companies like this company Rivalry that are doing positive things by adding sports betting so that they'll stay alive. I mean, there's other companies that have folded because they just didn't.
It looks like they're trying to partner with physical casinos too.
Right, exactly, and that makes a lot of sense because, what is the bedrock? What is the standard? I happen to be in that industry, and that's where I come from. It's one older industry. If that invests in a newer industry, and the two are working together, the newer one's going to survive.
Yeah.
You can't have a little child born into the world and let it survive on its own. It needs a parent to take care of it, to feed it, to make it grow. And that's exactly what esports is. Esports is the child. The casino industry now is taking that role of being the parent. And it has to, because if esports doesn't use, there's a synergy. There's a definite need for these industries to collide. And I'm sort of sitting in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're going to get to this. I like this thing you brought up, the non-fungible token thing.
So it's in the art world and everything too, and it's pretty much just like it slaps a digital letter of authenticity on it, pretty much, via a code or whatever.
Right. So for those of you that do not know what a non-fungible token is, and I basically will explain that as best as that I can. In this article, we have a black screen. No, this is the Rivalry article. Where is that? I don't know. It's not coming up. Let's see if we can reload it. So in this article, it was by VentureBeat. A non-fungible token. It's not coming up. A non-fungible token is. The only way I could relate it to people of my age would be if anyone could remember having a Babe Ruth rookie card. Like that's the only, and then there were no others that existed. Like it was,
and if that card had like a code on it, so it can be reproduced.
Right, it was a very rare collectible. So if you. And what is that like? First, I think we'd have to identify what the term fungible means, because fungible means that if I have $1 and I've had $1 in one hand and $1 in this hand, then they're both equal. That's fungible. They have a defined value. So I have a dime here and a dime here. They're both worth exactly the same. So that's fungible. A non-fungible product would be a house, like an actual physical house is non-fungible because its value goes up and down. And that's basically what these are. Now, these non-fungible tokens, for example, are something that was started, like, do you remember CryptoKitties? It started in 2017. CryptoKitties was created by a digital art studio, and they created these like digital kitties that were actually cats that were put specific types of art, and they put them on the blockchain. By putting them on the blockchain, they created a unique code that only that one art design would ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
And now the NBA has done it.
They're doing like virtual collectible
videos.
Cards.
Right. So if you went to
sports cards,
this is pretty cool. I'll just get one up here. Non-fungible token NBA. Let's see if I can find this. So you have the so this is actually, it's called Top Shot. These are interesting. Mm-hmm. These are very interesting pieces. So if you go to Top Shot for the NBA, you'll see that this is really kind of cool. But if I share my screen here, I'll show you guys.
And they're pretty much digital assets that, again, have the code on it to make it specific to that, so it can't be reproduced, and you know that it's yours.
Right. So here it says,
or the original, at least.
So if you can see on this on my screen now, you see this flipping Coke cube, legendary Tyler Hero. This cube here. So this is like an actual digital image that's on the blockchain that cannot be reproduced.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a video. So that's a collectible, because and now it can't be reproduced. For $779, somebody bought that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that could be, I mean, in a year from now, it could be worth twice that. But there is something that people have to be aware of: non-fungible tokens. Do you remember Beanie Babies?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember the Beanie Baby craze?
Yeah.
And I remember when my ex-wife had collected literally thousands of these things.
And then they weren't worth anything?
Now they basically the dust and not worth anything.
Well, I think with that, unlike stocks and things like that, you don't have to use it as stocks. Sometimes it is just for the collectible thing, because I was talking about it all morning, because it's in the art world now. There's like digital art that's being traded via NFT, and with the video games, it is essentially just like virtual avatars and things like that. So
right, for better
it's like getting a skin in the game, but like I want to say something else about it, but it'll be later. It'll be after.
It's not only a skin though, but it's also like if I were playing you.
It's anything digital.
Right. If I was playing you in a game and our game was being streamed, and there was a piece of that stream that I, shot your guy, or I got a kill or whatever, that moment in time can be a non-fungible token.
It can be, but right. I think there would have to be more than just a clip for that. I think just kind of like the sports clip that you showed, that's essentially supposed to be the new sports card. So it's the clip and it's the player and it's information, and it's made specifically for trading and things or collection. It's not just a clip.
Well, I actually got one of my friends, he actually got an NFT for Elon Musk, who when he tweeted about Dogecoin,
mm-hmm.
he actually bought the actual tweet, and that tweet was put on the blockchain and became an NFT.
Really?
Yes.
So they took Elon Musk's tweet and created an NFT for it, and somebody bought that?
Yep. My friend bought it.
Wow.
Yeah. So now
how does that work?
It's just they take the digital asset, and it's cut out, I guess, and it's put into the blockchain, and then people, they can auction it. You can auction pretty much anything. You can sell pretty much anything on the computer becomes.
Well, I have a friend who's an artist. He's a digital artist, and he's auctioning off one of his pieces right now that he made.
Well, we could put this podcast on blockchain. No one will buy it. So
you could own it.
So
somebody might.
Somebody might.
Maybe I have a fan out there who would buy it.
Exactly. Maybe we both have fans out there. I doubt it, but we might.
I've got fans.
Yeah. And then it would be worth a lot of money. So we'll see. Yes, Jen, you have more fans than I do.
I'm just kidding.
No, definitely, for sure. I know you do. But anyway, I wanted to get to this interesting. This is an interesting article. So do you know the company Gameco? Do you remember Gameco? Yeah. Okay. So Gameco. This is the big news in the casino world. Gameco recently, so they were. You got to get your license to be, to run a slot company mm-hmm. in Las Vegas, and Gameco. He's been fired, basically, out after being denied his gaming license. So unfortunately for him, Blaine Graybois, this guy here, is now no longer the CEO. They're looking. I know that they're looking for a new CEO. So I will recommend Jen Uchin for this position, but we'll see. And this is because there's he's building skill-based slot machine games. One of his games was Soul Calibur. And these are games that he bought the licensing from Bandai Namco, from all these other companies, and he couldn't get them out.
Wow.
Because there were no buyers for them.
Yeah.
And the process, I think, in a lot of ways was it's almost backward in a lot of ways, because what they were trying to do is companies like this company, and then companies like Synergy Blue, which is also a developer of strategic and skill-based games. They started doing layoffs. So if you look at this one, game developer Synergy Blue lays off staff, engages advisors, and their CEO resigned actually like a couple months ago. So there's a lot of problems here. So see here it says Synergy founder CEO George Washington said he was stepping aside, but didn't give reasons. And the reason is because, to be honest, is that there's unfortunately a downturn in the gaming in the gambling world.
Yeah.
And a lot more has been toward online, which is exactly where I wanted to approach with the GameCon idea of how to promote, how do you get the younger people audience? Well, you have to find them online first. Once you find them online, and then you can bring them into the brick and mortar, because that makes sense. And then you need something at the brick and mortar to keep them occupied. So it's a process that I think was done in a ways that just wasn't sensible, wasn't smart. So again, here's an older industry, the casino industry, where trying new things, meaning skill-based gaming, and trying to get into the video gaming and the esports side of things, and they didn't get it right either. So it's this trial and error that we're learning from. And I never say that trying something is a bad thing. You should always try things, and if you fail, it's a learning process. There's no such thing as failure. But knowing that, I think that the people who've been sort of sitting on the sidelines, me, you, we see these things that are going on in the industry. So that might make us a little bit more seasoned and understanding and studying all this for so many years, to know that if, Jen, you were hired as a chief marketing director or a chief executive director, that you would know what not to do, because you've already seen and you've seen it. So anyone who's out there that is looking for a CEO or someone to run a company, one of us is available. So, either one, I don't care. As long as I think the dream is to work in the video gaming world. There's a lot of people that want to be in there. There's a lot of people that want to work in esports.
Well, it's a fun industry.
I know it's my dream. And we do what we can to try to stay relevant. Just as I was saying that, there is something that we are working on now. This is just a work in progress, so don't judge on the actual layout right now. But we have started, the Casino Esport has started, the Esport Conference has started the Esport and Technology magazine. So if there's anybody out there that would like to submit articles to our magazine, now is the time. We have a nice feed that we're putting in here. All this stuff is just being allowed, but this is just the actual work in progress at this point. It's definitely not finished, but our first publication, our first digital magazine will be coming out on April 1st. So just letting everybody know.
April Fools.
April 1st. April 1st for sure. Well, I think that covers everything for today. And,
it was a crisp half hour.
It was a crisp half hour, and I appreciate all the time that you've given to this. I think this will pay off one day. I know it will. It has to. It has to. I have sent this clip. I have sent clips of this around to people that I know from CNBC and other places. So you might be getting a call, maybe to be an anchor on esports or the news on the video gaming news.
I'll be the editor.
Definitely. Anyway, Jen, thank you so much. Good luck, and to everybody out there, and everyone stay safe and have a pleasant evening. See you in 2 weeks.